Hey guys, so I wanted to do a video kind of overviewing a bunch of different foundations. A lot of people, since I posted the review on the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, a lot of people have been asking me questions about other foundations. So I want to kind of overview everything that I have and kind of give you a rundown of each one and how I apply it and what works best and whatnot. So I have, let's see, 2 high-end and 5 drugstore foundations. So I'll start off with the very first foundation that I got, and that is the Revlon Colorstay. The bottle looks like this, and this one's for a combination oily skin. I got this one back towards the beginning of the summer, so it's in the color number 240 medium beige, and I haven't used it in a while because this color is kind of dark for me. But I really like the formulation of the Revlon Colorstay. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that before I got another foundation, this one was like my all-time favorite. I had it in almost every single favorites video, and I just really like the coverage that it gave me and the way that it applied. Like I said, I haven't worn it in a while just because the color is kind of dark, and I have so many other foundations I just haven't gone back to get another color. So this is what the packaging looks like. It doesn't have a pump, which is always a bad thing in my part because you lose a lot of product. But I've had this for probably a good 6 months, if not a little bit longer, and I mean, it's not, I still have a ton. So you don't need very much, and usually what I do with products that don't have a pump, I just apply it on the back of my clean hand, put a little dollop, and with the Revlon Colorstay, I find that you can use 2 different brushes and they kind of give you the same effect, just with a more full coverage and a less full coverage. And the first one is the F80 Flat Top Kabuki. And this is from Sigma. I know you guys have seen this before, but as long as you, if you want a little bit more heavier of a foundation or a full coverage, more full coverage, just stipple it on your hand and then kind of pat it into your face and buff it out. And I find that that gives me more full coverage for, you know, those days when you need a little bit more coverage if you're going out, stuff like that. So with the Revlon Colorstay, because I have the combination oily skin one, I find that that sometimes can show any dry spots that I have because this is a drying foundation. Now if you get the kind that has for dry skin, then it's a little bit more moisturizing, and I think during the winter time that one would be better for people who have kind of combination skin. If I want a little bit less coverage, I'll use this is the F50, but it's like the 187 from MAC. It's just the stippling brush. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty, but same thing. I'll usually put a little bit amount on the back of my hand, kind of stipple it in there, and then stipple it like this evenly all over my face, and then kind of buff it out. I feel like it gives me a little bit less coverage, but it looks more natural. So that's good with that foundation. Like I said, the combination oily for me, because I have oily skin, works better for me in the summertime because it kind of soaks up my excess oil. It doesn't really need a setting powder unless you're super oily, and then I would suggest dusting a light powder on your T-zone, and that seems to work perfect for me. So really love this foundation, would definitely recommend it. Like I said, I've never tried the dry formula, but I have heard a lot of people love that formula, that a lot of people with dry skin, a lot of people with oily skin. So definitely, if I get low on foundations, I'll definitely check out the dry formula because I have been wanting to check that out, just never have. So the next foundation that I purchased was and I have to warn you, I have a lot of Maybelline products, but I find that they work, their numbering system works perfect for my skin tone. It matches better, and it has a little bit of, I guess, a pink undertone, which is not good for everyone, and I say that, and this one's kind of yellow, but this is the Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse, and I'm in the color Classic Ivory, or Light number 2, and this is what the packaging looks like. And the consistency of this is very moussey, so I don't know if you can see, it's very like kind of hard, and that's what comes out on your hand. So it's actually very easy to blend. It's very creamy, and it kind of just disappears onto your hand into like a powder form. So I would say that this is very much a mousse to powder. As far as the texture of it, I find that if you have dry skin, this wouldn't work as well because it has no moisture in it pretty much. So it definitely shows your dry spots very, very easily. And also when I first showed this in a haul, I had a lot of people say, I love that foundation, I wished it worked for me, but it broke me out. And I have to say that if you have sensitive skin, it definitely will break you out. I find that mainly it breaks me out around my chin area. I don't know why, because I apply it to my whole face, but my chin area is definitely the one that's most affected to it. And I don't know if you guys can tell how yellow my neck is. I doubt it'll show up on camera. But sometimes what I'll do is I can, depending on how pink or how yellow the foundation is, I can go either way in a MAC foundation. So this one is definitely on the more of the yellow side. And so it was a little bit hard to blend in with my skin. I felt like I needed a bit more. And I tried it so many different ways. When I first bought it, I tried with the stippling brush and I felt like it didn't blend as easily because it was not creamy enough. And then I tried it with the F80, and again it showed my dry spots because it has no moisture in it. And so I would say this would be great for people who have really oily skin and during the summertime, because during the winter even people with oily skin get real bad dry spots. Like I have super oily skin, and all up in here and down here and even around the sides of my nose and right here in my forehead I get super dry in the winter time. So this isn't my favorite foundation. I won't repurchase it. I probably won't even use up what I have, but I will use it for the occasional, it has very full coverage, so I will use it for the occasional blemish that's not around my chin, because for some reason my chin is like allergic to this foundation. So if you don't have sensitive skin, this is a very great foundation. It says that it's a matte foundation, and I don't find that to be as necessarily true. That's why it's really drying. Right here where I constantly stay oily and in my pore area, I feel like it accentuates my heavy pores and my oil around my forehead. I'm not sure that it works the way that it's supposed to with my skin. So if you've had different results with it, great. You know, one of my friends, Marissa, she loves this foundation. She has been using it for years, and her face looks flawless. And I don't know what's her skin like versus mine, so I'm sure that this product works for a lot of people, just not so well for me. So then the next one that I purchased was a Benefit product, and this is actually just a sample size, and I'm glad I got the sample first because I don't care for it too much. This is the Some Kind of Gorgeous Benefit Fake, I think it's called a foundation faker. And I got this in one of those little sample packs, but this is what it looks like. I believe it only comes in one color, and the texture of it's really, really creamy. It almost feels like a concealer, and this is the color of it there. So it's really, I'd say, yellow based, and it doesn't really match my skin tone, but that doesn't matter too much because when you blend it out, I don't know because of this light if you'll be able to tell, but when you blend it out, it kind of just disappears. It really has very, very light coverage. I wouldn't even say, I tried applying it with my fingers, and I felt like my fingers kind of absorbed it too quickly or something. So I tried it with the SS109 from Sigma, just the dome brush, and I tried kind of swirling it in there and then applying it to my face, and it worked out a little bit better. But again, very light coverage, and you have to be careful under your eyes because it's not really, it doesn't blend too easily with the sensitive skin under your eyes. Like if you have a little bit of milia, which are those white little bumps from when your skin gets a little irritated from products, which most people have them, especially if you wear makeup, because your skin's not used to that under there, and if you wear concealer and whatnot, it tends to accentuate that because it doesn't blend in as nicely. So again, great product if you have super oily skin, I think, because it can also doesn't really have too much moisture and it can accentuate dry spots. And again, the color range, the color range on the Revlon Colorstay is very vast. There's a lot of different colors to choose from. Dream Matte Mousse, not so many colors. I believe that Maybelline did come out with another line for a more dark complected girl. But as far as I know, there's not too many. You're either very light, medium, and that's about it. So not too many variations on the color range there. And this one, this is the only color range. So if you need very light coverage and you kind of just want to even out your skin tone, maybe you have a little bit of redness here and that's what you're looking to do, this would probably work good for you. But for the price and how quickly it wastes out, I would say that's definitely a no-go. I won't be buying the full size, especially because I have so many foundations, and if I didn't have so much redness here and here, I would probably be able to wear this and be okay. It almost feels the texture of like a tinted moisturizer minus the moisture, if that makes sense. And it also does need to be set because I feel like it almost looks a little greasy in your oily spots. So I hope that all made sense, jumbled all together as I'm like waving this brush around. But the next foundation that I purchased was the Maybelline Dream Liquid Mousse. And this is what the packaging looks like, and this is also in the color Classic Ivory Light number 2. And so I love this foundation that it has a pump. This was the first foundation that I purchased that had a pump to it, and so I thought that was great. The color of it, again, with the Maybelline products, as I mentioned in the Fit Me foundation review, the Classic Ivory color in general tends to match me the best. And as you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but this foundation almost has more of a pink undertone, and this one's a bit more yellow. So again, depending on your skin tone color, the color is going to vary from person to person. Even if you look like my complexion, you may have more pink undertones or more yellow undertones. It really depends. I can go both ways because my face has pink undertones but my neck has yellow. So go to a Sephora or MAC counter and have them tell you. That would, and if you can go either way, you can also go with very neutral colors. Some lines, like I think the L'Oreal line has a neutral section instead of yellow based and pink based. But anyway, that's off topic. This foundation, like I said, packaging great because I love the pump. It's more easy to control your product, not as much waste. And I love the fact that it's a little bit thicker when you take it out onto your hand. It's a little bit thicker than a normal foundation. So I don't know if you can see that. So when you blend it in, you can tell right away that it's going to be a heavier coverage than most foundations. So, and it claims to give you an airbrush finish. I do feel like it does give you a very seamless airbrush finish. This color doesn't really match my hand too much because my hand's more of yellow undertones, but it almost dries in like a powder finish, and I love that about a foundation because it almost feels like you don't need to set it with a powder and you're not wearing too much makeup. So I really like that. Usually when I apply that, I can go any kind of way. I can go with the classic foundation brush. This is the F60 from Sigma, and just put some on my hand, or I can actually squeeze it out onto the brush, and usually I use a full pump of it and brush it back and forth on my face, or I can use the F80. This is always my go-to foundation brush with liquid. I love this brush, especially with liquid. It can be used with other products, but I feel like it cakes it on a little bit too much. And then always this is going to be for lighter coverage. And I usually, if I'm going to use a stippling brush, I usually use a half a pump instead of a full pump so that it looks a little bit more light and natural. And so this is going to be a long video, I can tell. But really, I would recommend this definitely if you have any skin type, really, because I have oily skin. Like I said, I don't feel like it really accentuates my dry spots, probably because it's liquid. A lot of times when I'm working with powdered cream products, mousse products, they accentuate my dry spots a lot quicker than a liquid does. And I feel like this has enough moisture to not accentuate the dry spots, but not too much moisture to where you're going to look like a big grease ball for the whole day. The stay power of this is not the best that I've ever seen. The heavier you go, the longer it stays. Usually when I use a half a pump, it lasts me through the day, but by the end of the day, it needs some touching up. So this is, if you work an 8-hour day, perfect. Now, if you need it for like 12 hours, not so much. But by the end of your day, your makeup's going to look a little worn off. But, you know, a lot of products do that. And for a drugstore product, it really does work as good as a drugstore product can work. So I really like this one. I love the finish that it gives my skin also. So then the next foundation that I purchased, I can't remember which one I purchased first, but I'm gonna go, no, I purchased this one first. This is the Maybelline Dream Smooth Mousse, also in the color Classic Ivory. This is the number 150 though, and the color is back there. But this is what the packaging looks like. I wasn't too impressed with this packaging right off the bat because I feel like it's not very practical. You lift this thing up and the little sponge is in here, and I tried the sponge once, don't like it. It completely ate up the foundation. Wasn't a huge fan, and I didn't like the way it applied because, again, accentuated my dry spots. Wasn't a huge fan. So this packaging, this product was raved about here on YouTube, and I'm glad I picked it up. The first time I picked it up, I wasn't so impressed because I wasn't applying it right and I had the wrong color. So it just, I didn't like it. And so I went back and tried another color, and I definitely was glad I got a different color. But the packaging to me is horrible, super unpractical, no mirror. How do they expect you to use this little sponge and apply the product you have to screw off the cap that's under here with no mirror? I mean, to me, I just would think that you should have a mirror if it's a compact like this. Now you're thinking, okay, well, none of your other foundations have a mirror. True, and you're absolutely correct. However, if you purchase a powdered foundation or a setting powder that comes with a little sponge like this one does, there's always a mirror somewhere in the foundation, whether it be down here with the sponge, whether it be underneath, somewhere there's always a mirror. So I feel like because they made this look like a compact, like one that you could throw in your purse, I feel like it should have had a mirror. Could be me, but I wasn't really impressed with the packaging. And also the I know that it looks like there's not a lot of product, but the ounces in this is 0.49 and the ounces in this foundation is 0.64. So it's not a huge difference. However, because this is a cream product, I feel like it would waste quicker, kind of like the Benefit Some Kind of Gorgeous. So the way, this is what the product looks like. And I tried to apply this many different ways. It's super creamy, I have to tell you that. And it does apply very seamlessly, super flawless when you apply it with your fingers. I tried to apply it so many different ways. I first started, I don't know if you could see the little baby holes in it, but I first started with a stippling brush. Wasn't working because it needs some warmth. It either needs to be in your fingers or something, because just applying it with a stippling brush was not applying the product correctly onto my face. It was dispersing it weird, and it just wasn't working. So then I tried it with a foundation brush. I didn't like it because it was too creamy and the foundation wouldn't blend in. It was real streaky with this brush and I just wasn't a fan. So then I tried it with the F80, and like I said, this is my go-to foundation brush. Was not impressed. It picked up, I don't know if it didn't pick up enough. If it didn't pick up enough, I can't talk. I don't know if it didn't pick up enough or if it picked up too much. I couldn't get it right. I couldn't get the taps in there right, the circular motions that I was supposed to make. It just wasn't working. So I finally tried it with the SS109, which you're thinking, okay, that's not really a foundation brush. Why would you use that? But it seems to work perfectly. You swirl it in here 2 or 3 times, picks up just enough product, and when you apply it to your face, same thing. What I would do is actually swirl it once, apply it to my cheek, and then kind of blend in and finish this side of my face, and then go back and do this side of my face, because I feel like this foundation dries a little quickly on your face because it does turn into like a powder feeling finish, and so it dries quickly, so you have to work with it quickly. So I applied that and it worked great. Depending on how my skin was looking, if I was really dry around my nose, sometimes it would get kind of in the cracks and show just a little, not too bad. So if you have dry skin, I don't know that this would necessarily not work for you, but you maybe have to be careful of how you apply it in your real dry areas. So definitely would recommend this. Was not impressed with the packaging, like I said. The amount that you get, I feel like, is a little. If you use foundation every day, you would finish this quite quickly. But, you know, it's a drugstore product, $6 or $7. So I don't think that it would be any harm to, you know, use it every day, I think that you would be fine. A liquid foundation, of course, is going to give you closer to 1 fluid ounce or 1 fluid ounce, and so obviously you're getting more. I think you would use less of the cream products if you know how to apply it. Working with your fingers is really good too. I don't like getting my fingers dirty, so if I don't have to, I won't. But I think that would work also too. So moving on to my favorite foundation right now, and that's the MAC Prolong Wear. I'm in the color NW20, and I did a full review and a full demonstration on this foundation. Super excited to get it. Love the pump that it comes with it, that you don't have to pay for the pump like you do with the Studio Fix. And I think this retailed for $26 or $27, maybe $28, I don't remember. This is the perfect color for me. I could have gone with the NC20. Again, one of those things, it just depends on the foundation. This to me looks a bit yellow in the bottle, even though it's an NW. When I apply it to my face, it's a little bit more pink, but it seems to match perfectly. So, you know, I think it's really good. The staying power on it, because it's the Prolong Wear, is supposed to be 15 hours or something like that. I can definitely attest to the stay power of it. It has lasted me on 12-hour shifts before. When I go to, when I used to work at a restaurant, I used to wear it to work and I sweat and stuff there. I know that's gross, but I mean, it wouldn't run down or anything. It seemed to work really, really good. Doesn't break me out. The Studio Fix completely breaks me out. So I was really excited that this worked out for me. The price tag is a little high, but it is a higher end foundation. So if you can afford to spend the money, I would definitely recommend at least going to get a sample and trying this one out. Sorry, my nose itch. But at least trying this one out. I feel like this actual formulation is supposed to be meant for oily skin, because it's a Prolong Wear, so it's supposed to kind of mattify your face throughout the day. I would definitely say that it could be worn with either combination oily or super dry, because I have super oily skin, as I've said many times, and it works perfect for me. And my best friend Heidi has super dry skin, or I guess, yeah, she's pretty dry, and she wears the exact same foundation, just a different shade, and works great for her too. So I don't think that this is just purely for people with oily skin. I think it would work all the way around. And for me to apply this, my favorite is using the flat top kabuki. I also like, again, with lighter coverage, I like to do the stippling brush. I don't use this as often as I use this though, because when I need a long staying foundation, I usually need it a little bit heavier because I'm going to have a long day. So the F80 is definitely the way to go for me. I don't like it with the regular foundation brush. I don't like it with the SS109. I've never applied it with my fingers. Like I said, I don't like doing that, so it may work perfectly with your fingers and give you a nice blended effect. I'm not a fan of that, so I don't usually do it. Last but not least is the foundation that I did a whole entire review on, and that's the Fit Me Maybelline foundation. Again, 120 Classic Ivory across the board with Maybelline, works perfect for me. I really like I said, I'll go through the bullet points, but I really like the packaging, how it's square. Super sleek. I like that it fits nicely in my little drawer and it doesn't roll around. I don't like the fact that it doesn't have a pump. I feel like the product is wasted. Retails for about $7 at Walmart, and so I like the price tag. That's really good. I feel like this would be great for people with dry skin because it's super moisturizing. When you apply it, it's very creamy. Feels like a tinted moisturizer, but it gives you heavier coverage than a tinted moisturizer would. If you have oily skin, I think it would work okay for you also, because it works good for me. I just have to make sure I set it correctly with either an HD powder, a setting powder, translucent, something, because otherwise I look too oily and too dewy throughout the day. So it definitely has to be set if you have oily skin. If you have dry skin, you probably would be fine without a powder at all, but so yeah, as far as primers on all of these, I put a primer under everything. That's because I have big pores right here, and I have some pores here, and I really like to conceal those a little bit and kind of fill them in before I apply the foundation over it so that they don't get clogged. So that was my whole video on foundations. I hope you guys like this. I kind of got the idea from Legally Brunette 214. Her name's Nikki. I love her videos. I'll link her down below. She's doing, I don't remember exactly what the videos names are. I think it's like the best foundation or the perfect foundation or something. I think that's what it is, the perfect, and then she's putting products like foundations, highlighters. So I kind of wanted to do that. She has a lot more makeup than I do, so I wanted to give you maybe a little bit of a different perspective, some of the lower end things, and then with a couple higher end things in there also. So I hope you guys like this. Let me know if you want me to do it. I had a bunch of requests, like I said, for the foundations. I had a request for primers and for concealers. So let me know if you want me to do anything else, like lipsticks, lip glosses, blush, mascaras, eyeliners, things like that, because I think that would be fun. I love watching her videos when she does them because it gives me a different perspective, little mini reviews of a bunch of different products. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I will have everything linked down below that I said I was going to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!